A very warm welcome to you in this Finance in Management Leadership course. My name's Hannah Quirk and I'm going to be taking you for this course, and we will have some live time together as well. But what I wanted to do was to create a mixture of different activities online. So some that you can do at your own leisure, other ones that we'll do online together rather than sort of spending 3 or 4 hours talking to you through Teams and just seeing sort of a set of initials and an occasional response. So let me introduce the module and explain how it's going to work. So in terms of my credibility when it comes to finance, I'm actually writing the online version of this degree. And so we've got a specialist division in Coventry University called CU Online, and we're writing the management leadership degree at the moment to be fully online. And the module I'm currently working on is finance. Therefore, certain elements of this module, this is why I was keen to do it a little bit differently, I've created already, and I've been working with the media team. And so some of the bits that we'll be doing, like I'll be making some worksheets, things like that, for the online version of the course. I'm quite keen to test out with yourselves really and give you the sort of best practice that that's been developed for the online degree. So it's sort of going to be quite cutting edge, which is why normally at this stage I'd have the whole of the 6 weeks all fully populated with all the contents. And because I'm actually in the process of writing it at the moment, I'm going to be a little bit slower in terms of getting the material up there. So it'll always be up there in advance of the sessions. But because I want to give you the best quality material, it's going to be probably a couple of days in advance of the session that it will be populated. So some of the process that we do when we go through developing the online degree involves actually working with a specialist media team. So we've created some animations that I'm going to be using on this module with you. For example, you'll see the picture there of the gentleman and the big X. So there's a fictional business park, and we've written all the scripts for this, and they've been specifically designed for this finance module. So there'll be almost like a series of stories going through the module that will support our learning, and I'm able to import those into our course and sort of try them with you. So in the module, and the way that I'll be doing it is I'll have some short live sessions where we discuss things, we'll go through things, so it gives you a chance to clarify learning, and it gives us the opportunity to make sure you really understand it. And then I've spent quite a lot of time actually creating these exercises for you to do. One of the things that I've done that I'm going to ask you to do today is to look at a series of previous assignments for this module for the first assessment. I've got ones ready already for the second assessment too. And I've had to go through them all to anonymise them, because obviously that's the only way that we can share this data with you. And so when you look at the sample assessments, you'll notice some of them look a little bit strange because I've had to actually cut and paste them out of PDF documents, which took quite a while to make sure that they are actually anonymous. And then I've created an exercise for us to do shortly, where you'll look through the assignment brief, and then you'll look at 3 sample assignments, and then you'll look at a mark sheet for all 3. And I'd like you to almost pair the marks, well, not almost, but I'd like you to pair the marks and the feedback with each of the assignments to give you a feel for what good looks like, and also what sort of a first looks like, what a 2-1 looks like, and what a 2-2 looks like. I won't be doing a sample breakdown for the assignment because I think I'm going to share, with sharing these examples, you'll already get a feel for how you could approach it. Also, what I've done is I've got in the session later Tom Amos coming, who you've probably already met from the library, but he's coming with a specialist mission in mind, which is to help you find about the financial databases that are going to help you with this assignment. So he's had the brief for both assignments, so we can always invite him back later as well, so he can come to another session too if we feel that would be helpful. So let's go through the overview of the course. Now, in today's session, I'm going to really, we're going to be focusing on the first assignment and understanding that. You're going to be introduced to some of the databases from Tom, and also I'm going to give you an overview of the learning outcomes 1 to 3, so some ideas about that in the talk content. And then week by week, we'll make sure that each of the learning outcomes are covered. So at the end, after the 3rd week is when the first assessment is interest you, and we'll have ensured in those first 3 weeks that the learning outcomes that you need for that first assignment are all covered. And then weeks 4 to 6, weeks 4 and 5 will finish the learning outcomes. Week 4 will be very much focused again on the second assignment. I've got some sample of those for you. And then the 6th week, I'd like to reserve that so we can have one-to-ones that are bookable online and we can go through the assignment. And what I might do is actually give you all a slot whether you intend to use it or not, and it's there. And it just means if you haven't started anything, I can help sort of motivate you and signpost you as to where to go on that. Okay. So in today's session, so this is the introduction to the self-directed part. So you'll notice there are quite a few self-directed parts of it. And by self-directed, I mean just quite literally that I give you the resources and you do something yourself. So you're watching this video now, then I'm asking you to look at the assignment 1, the brief for that. I'd like you, before we start talking in the live session at 9 o'clock, to look at the FTSE Techmark 100. I'm giving you a hyperlink to it and actually to understand what that really is, and then have a scan through it. Are there any companies that you'd be interested in looking at? And if you can find one already that you think looks pretty good, that would be really helpful. And the reason being, you can then focus any questions or ask Tom to guide his research towards the company that interests you. At 9 o'clock, we're going to have a live session where I'll meet you all and sort of understand how you feel about financial studies and just, get an idea as to how confident you are. And we'll discuss assignment 1. Then you've got an hour to look at 3 previous assignments for assessment 1, and I'd like you to try and match the assignment with the feedback. So we've got one in the 50s, one in the 60s and one in the 70s, so which you think got what, and then we'll go through that together from 10:30 till 11. Then I've put 15 minutes, but the video is I think about 4 minutes. There's a video, I mentioned these animations for Westwood Business Park. So this is the story of 4 businesses or 4 organisations, because one's a charity, that will go through almost like a bit of a soap opera through this course as a way of comparing and contrasting different organisations and how they handle their affairs. And so what I'd like you to do there is to be introduced to the 4 organisations and then to consider what their financial challenges might be, just focusing on one, and how that might impact the organisation's performance. So that ties in with the learning outcome about financial objectives, and we'll discuss that at 11:15 in a short live session. Then there is a video, another video, where I've put the recorded lecture for today. So that's all the slides and the material for the first 3 learning outcomes and a bit of an overview for you to look at there. Then please grab some lunch to suit you, ideally around 12:30, so that you're back online at 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock, this is when Tom Amos is coming along to introduce us to financial databases and how we'll use those for our assignments. Then what I'd like you to do for next week is to email me before the session to let me know which of the companies out of the FTSE Techmark 100 that you're going to pick for your assignment. For this module, the reading list is available on Moodle. So you go onto Moodle and you click onto Management and Leadership modules, and then it will link you through to a number of modules that you can browse from. I think this might actually be out of range on these slides, so just let me bring down the viewer and go back, try and go back a slide. Sorry, just 1 second. Oh, wait a second. Okay. Oh, what a shame. Right, here we go. Sorry, here we go. Now, I just had to bring, because when I'm recording it, it only records a fraction of the screen, so there's a little bit that I could see was missing. So, yeah, we've got the Finance 204 Man is the one that you're studying. So when you click on that link, what I like about the reading list now is that they're all linked to online resources, so that you've got, because it's really useful to have books as well as academic journals and obviously the databases you're going to use. So if you click on 204, it'll bring you up. It's called a Tallis link, and it links directly through to the library. Really, what you want for this module is to be looking at books that are finance for non-financial managers. That's the sort of topic that you're looking at, and really find books that you feel comfortable using, that you understand. Okay, so on to the assignments. So we've got two assignments. We've got, and I'm doing this in the wrong order, but I think if I give you the long-term view, which is assignment 2 first, and then we'll move back to assignment 1, which we're focusing on today. So for assignment 2, what you're looking at is you're looking at a company in the FTSE TechMark 100, so the same as the first assignment. So we need to pick an organisation. Sorry, it's just dawned on me. I thought we could do the same one, but it has to be different from the first one. Okay. So you need to choose an assignment, to choose an organisation that's different from the first. So you may want the more interesting one to be the second one that you're doing. So you're going to be picking two organisations from that list, and you need to come up to create a financial report for a new product or service for that company. And then you need to produce a financial plan for 3 years ahead for this new division of the company that you're creating the product or service for. So you're going to have to consider things like break even, profit and loss, cash flow, balance sheet, and financial ratios. So there's quite a lot of financial production there that you're going to need to do. So that's after the 6th week. So that's when you've done all the contents. Meanwhile, the shorter term one is you're going to pick another organisation from the FTSE TechMark 100, and I'd like you to let me know which company this is by next week. Ideally, actually, if you ever think about it, if you can identify which two you're going to be doing, that would be amazing. So we're doing a case study for the first assignment. So it's about, I think it's 2,000 words, and it's looking at who's interested in financial information from that company, so the stakeholders, what is being communicated with them, so you're actually analysing the information and critically discussing it, and then you're looking at different types of financial information that is used for decision making in the organisation you've chosen. So the first one, it does sort of build a general knowledge around financial information and how it's used by stakeholders and for decision making, before the second one, where you're actually putting it into practice for a new product or service. So I think it makes, for a subject that some will consider quite dull, I think it's sort of trying to make it as engaging as it possibly can be. So, therefore, what I'd like you to do now, going back to today's session, I want you to look at the first assignment brief. There'll be a link through to it on the Moodle page. I'd like you to look at the listing of the TechMark 100 and see which organisations interest you. Bear in mind, the second project you're having to, the second assignment you're thinking about launching a new division, product or service for them. And then the first one, you're doing a case study on their performance and their use of financial information and how it's used to inform decision making and stakeholders. So we need two organisations to start thinking about which organisation that you might be looking at, and also jot down if you've got any questions about the assignment, and I'll see you at 9 o'clock.